Is a video from yesterday stalled? It might be. I mean, it was. You know, we're trying to see how it could, how we could talk to people about those kind of things. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting one because right, if we got it wrong in tone or in what we said, I think we really need to say something about that. It has to stop, especially when we have, especially when there's a new pope who's from South America. That what I put in that video, that really that that that's one of those things that's not only urgent and not only we're on the right. There's no. There's a correct way to see it, and it's urgent, but it's also something we could do something about. You know, a lot of these things are trying to make people aware. Like the scope of them is such that although we cynical about it, making people aware of it is sort of that in and of itself is something. But that's the thing we're learning now. That's not like that. That's something that has to stop, and it's something we can stop. It's just the kind of thing the citizens of the country like can make these, you know, can ask that this be that there be a change in how these, you know, that's something that. Yeah. Let me see if you know what I mean. Let me see if we're on the same page. I mean, we to not say something. Yeah. No, he asked the fundamental question that there, that are, see, we're as citizens of the country and like whatever else is going on. These representatives in our legislature, like there are things that we're asking to do, but one of them, like apparently, like there's what we believe to be a, some kind of like, it is like a spiritual sickness to see the way they're seeing about this particular thing, it must be. But then part of it is they're holding up progress. They're holding up anything happening on it. Actually, there's nothing's changing. Nothing's changing, and it has to. This they can do for us. This they can do. Our Congress. If they're one they're not seeing correctly, there appears to be like, and to play on irrational, like, and ignorant elements in the country, like that's almost not the, who stop playing on that. The people who have come into our country, who've taken desperate risks to come into our country over the border from South America. Like, you don't take risks like that unless you're desperate, unless and we know conditions on that side of the border are desperate. We've gone into the reasons for that, and we play a role, but that's a story for like another time. But the fact is, like, you don't take risks like that unless you simply have no hope, unless you can get out of there. So that's who's coming over the border. Okay, it's people who are desperate. And what we said is that the fact that it's already a concern of why they're viewed the way they are by a political class, but more importantly because of that they're holding up the path to citizenship, but they're also holding up that Dream Act, and it's actually that a lot of people don't understand what that is, and that has to happen right now. Because I'm saying it, but it has to what also has to change, and it may be and it can change any minute they want to change their hearts and their perception, is how they're perceiving such individuals. What we said is this, that we always understood over here, and I think it's the correct way to see, is that people who see, if you were, I mean, if you were born here, like our whole political class and like your friend here, you were just born here, and that's why you're a citizen of the country. People who've taken these desperate risks because they have no hope on their side of the border, and rather than starve or, I mean, that they take desperate risks to get into the country, and they've been living here and being productive, you know, um, and actually have been here so long there's a second generation that was born here and that is actually going to school, looking to go to college. The fact is that, like, our perception over here is that such people earn the right to be here simply by the risk they took to get here, and the fact that they were that desperate and knew there'd be at least some opportunity here, and there isn't much. Then is that persons like, I can only speak for your friend here, but like, they earned it. I didn't earn it. I was just born here. That's incredible to take that risk so your family could have a better life. And what's happening now is, like, as it was the attitude that our political class has, that they only share with people who are extremely ignorant it's something our political class shouldn't think, partly because the only people that have such a view are people who must be very sick in their own way to see in such a way, or very ignorant, or very hostile, or very afraid of different things. But they're viewing this entire population of people as though they're some kind of criminals. They even say they're in the country illegally. Well, they're not. The borders are artificial. I mean, they were desperate to come over to this side of the border and took those risks. They're not documented, and they haven't yet gotten citizenship. But no, no, no. That's not a criminal. That's not. They're not illegal. I mean, it's not a way to look at it. It's not a loving way to look at it. It's not an accurate one. But the thing is that they are not only holding up a path to citizenship, but they're using the term amnesty. It's a very odd use of the word, That is amnesty is that's not even the word, but they're using it pejoratively. That is, like, to think such people, like, should be looked at, sympathetically, or to just simply say this is, will you be a path to citizenship, which, by the way, requires a lot of a person. It's not like nothing. I mean, that maybe to learn English, and maybe to do this, maybe to do that. It's not. It's something that a person can do. But I mean, it's not the. But I mean, it was the idea that they're some kind of criminal population because of the way they came in. It doesn't make sense. But this second generation of young people that are, like, gone to American high schools, lived in the country their whole life, that part of the reason their parents took that risk and live here undocumented and in fear of the INS is that they wanted their kids to have a better life. It's a lot like the story of my family. That they need to be citizens immediately in some sense. I mean, to say they need a path to citizenship. I mean, but the idea that they're still in danger of being deported when they may have gotten a scholarship to college, this has to stop. So that DREAM Act has to be passed immediately. Immediately. I mean, we expect that of our political class, and persons like me are in a position to tell them that you're not fooling anyone. I mean, they have to do this. I don't know who they're sort of like playing on, some type of person who's not particularly, not like them, and it's sort of, I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of unemployed guys with binoculars. They don't like foreigners or something. But here's the thing. Also, but the fact is, they have to pass that DREAM Act. But they also have to stop viewing these people as though it's a criminal population. That's not the right way to view such people. They take desperate attempts to come in a country, and just simply because they were probably starving on the other side, or there's no water over there at this point. They came here, and I'm saying, like, this is not a population to be hostile to, but they have to change their way of perceiving that. They do. But especially, so this immigration reform thing, they have to take a different view of what this is, but that DREAM Act has to get passed immediately. I mean, those type of young people, like, they should not be in danger of being deported. And but also, I wondered if some of this political class, in addition to having sort of no heart, and also kind of liking to play on irrational elements in the population who are basically defectives who just don't like foreigners, but also, like, something, I don't know how far away these people in the Republican Party and stuff are, like, how many generations their families been here. The people who make these, videos and channels, they're aware of us in some way. There's this social media thing. I want to make it very clear, if it's not, I'm only the third generation of my family here. My grandfather came here when he was a kid into Ellis Island. 2 years later, he was sent to World War I. By the way, these same people that view immigrants in this way they shouldn't. Let me tell you something. They do a bunch of things. Not only that's how my grandma got in here from Warsaw, fought in the war. He didn't, but he fought in it for the country he came to. He didn't know really what it was about. My father, by the way, grew up. He was on food stamps and he was a kid, so I really resented these people. Also want to take away those food stamps. If my father and his mother hadn't had food stamps and welfare and government assistance, then they wouldn't have been able to eat. But because they were hardworking, eventually, third generation, there is such a thing as like progress apparently. So I'm saying, but so I actually resent these people who are like take this attitude towards what they're calling illegal immigrants. But I mean, this has to stop. They have to do. They have to find a. They have to real. Both political classes could agree on this. It's just a matter of a logical and rational path to citizenship, and like it's not a complicated matter. That's why we have legislators. Otherwise, what's the point of having a Congress? Why don't we all just get together and see if we could work, decide on things like that? No, that's why there's a legislature, because they can handle things like this. This is something they can agree on. It's a lot. What's the logical way to handle this? And stop pandering to ignorant people in the country and their hateful impulses. But I mean, yeah, they have to do this. They have to stop viewing these people as those they're some kind of criminals. They have to get the path to citizenship for those who are working, and they have to pass that Dream Act. And that's not a game. I don't care whatever else they're doing or why they're wearing weird colors. But the truth of the matter is, this really isn't funny to watch them do this. And like the chaplain said in the Congress, we need to tell these people to please stop committing the hypocrisy of claiming that you're attempting to be reasonable when none of you are being reasonable. That's what we said in the other video. Is this a different way to say it? These people have to get right spiritually and stop behaving this way. But that stuff has to get past. I mean, that really has to happen now. And I'm not somebody desperately screaming out. So I'm saying they're gonna have to. People like myself, you really can't brush yourself on that going away. You know.